Cessna 172 SP G1000 AATD. Before starting engine checklist. Pre-flight complete. Passenger briefing not required. Seat belt and seats. Adjusted. Brakes test and hold. Circuit breakers all in. Electrical equipment is off. Avionics is off. Standby battery test 10 seconds. 1000, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And standby is armed. Fuel selector valve both. Fuel shutoff valve full in. Starting engine. Throttle open, 1/4 of an inch. Mixture cut off. PFD is checked on. Engine indicating systems. No red axis. Bus E volts 24.5, above 24 volts minimum. Bus M 1.5 volts or less. Bus battery SMs negative discharge -5.3. Standby battery annunciator shown. Master switch, alternator and battery on. Beacon on. Nav lights on for safety. And prop clear. Prime. Fuel pumps on. Mixture idle cut off. And going to reach 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000, 5000. And fuel pump off, mixture idle cut off. Magneto switch start. Prop clear. Mixture smoothly to reach. Oil pressure is in the green. Amps positive. Low volts annunciator not shown. And right now avionics master on. Flaps are up. Starting engine checklist complete. And now before taxi checklist, parking brake, release. Check right, check left, and test brakes. Brakes are good. Taxi lights are on. And we'll taxi to the holding point. And we'll do the run up over here. Parking brake set. Run up, checklist. Seats and seat belts secure. Flight controls. Left for left, right for right. It's free and correct. Flight instruments are good. Fuel, we have 25 gallons. Mixture is rich, and we're now throttled to 1800. RPM. Magnitude switch test. Left, right, engine indications, fuel flow in the green, oil pressure in the green, oil temperature in the green, vacuum is good, fuel quantity is good, amps, charging, voltage is good, 27.5, no other annunciation. Idle check, and back to 1000. Throttle friction, adjust. And we are ready for departure. Trim set for takeoff and flap set for takeoff. This will be a 0 flaps takeoff. Entering runway 03, left is clear and right is clear. For takeoff, we'll rotate at 55, climb at 62, and then speed up to 74. All is good. Strobe lights on and landing lights on. Pitot heat will be on. Set and rotate. Fly runway heading. And we'll climb at 62. And passing 1,000 feet, we can now adjust our climb to 74. We are straight to 3,500 feet for some air work. And right now we'll engage the autopilot. We'll level off at 3,500 temporarily. And this will allow us to speed up to maximum cruise of 119 knots. And we're now approaching our maximum cruise. And now we'll slow down to normal cruise, 112. And that's the normal cruise. We'll continue to climb to 3,500 feet. And this time we'll use the vertical speed mode of 500 feet a minute. Maximum power. $100 to go. And 3,500 reach. Next, normal versus steep turns. We can demonstrate normal turn to heading 330. And at this rate, the aircraft is turning at about 20 degrees. And right turn back to 030. Now for demonstration of steep turn, I'll have to disconnect the autopilot and hand fly. Go into roll mode at 3,500. And I'll start with a left steep turn. .360 and we'll do a right steep turn. And turn back. To the heading. Re-engage the autopilot. Next, we're going to demonstrate approach to stall. We're going to do it in phases. We're going to do the takeoff phase first. So, in this example, I'm going to again hand fly the aircraft. And we're going to simulate climbing at a fairly steep rate of 1,000 feet a minute at maximum power. And we're going to assume that we do not take notice of the bleeding airspeed. The airspeed will continue to bleed, and at a high angle of attack we'll need more right rudder. Be here and then going to lower the nose so we don't enter into a full stall. We don't want to be descending either, we just want to stop climb, continue to gain the airspeed, and be aware to be more gradual in the climb. And that's the approach to stall takeoff configuration. And let's say we stop the climb now at 4,600 feet. So we can demonstrate the approach to stall in cruise, whether you're hand flying or not, or engaging the autopilot. And we assume that we pull back the power just a little bit too much to the point the airspeed starts to decay. So in maintaining altitude, you have to keep increasing the pitch attitude, and at some point in time you hear the stall warning and put back in the power, lower the nose, and we don't gain the airspeed, and try not to lose too much altitude. Once things are stable, and then we can start to pull back the power and continue the cruise. At this point, you're going to let the autopilot take over, and let's turn back. Fly heading 180. And right now we're going to simulate an approach configuration for the approach to stall demonstration. To descend to 3,500 feet. And we're going to descend at 500 feet a minute. And we're going to pull back the power. And similarly, even though we are simulating an approach right now and we're therefore descending, with idle power you can still bleed your airspeed to a dangerously low level. And I'm going to disengage autopilot for now to hand fly the aircraft and retrim. And at idle power, descending at a rate of 300 feet a minute on the vertical speed, the speed continues to bleed. And let's go all the way to idle. And true enough, there you go. A bit of power in to increase the airspeed to a safe level and continue the descent. Further descend down to 2,500 feet at 500 feet a minute. And for now, we're going to demonstrate a landing configuration for approach to stall. So we're now at the wide arc speed. We can add the flaps, and I'll just hand fly this maneuver itself. Second flaps. And we'll simulate landing on a runway at an altitude of 2,000 feet. So we maintain the airspeed slightly above 60. Now we're at the final flaps. And let's assume we fail to add power. The final flaps adds the drag, and we're now below 60. And we're still descending. We now need to increase our angle of attack at a slow speed because of all the drag and the declining airspeed. And here we go. Let's abort the landing. Maintain directional control, add in the power. Drop, remove the first stage of flaps. This is definitely a go around. Next stage of flaps. And we'll climb to 3,000 feet, 1,000 feet above the airport altitude. And that was a demonstration of the landing configuration approach to stall. It's going to climb back to 3,000 feet, powered by the autopilot. Now the aircraft has a fuel selector, and right now it is on both, so we can toggle it to left, and now it's basically taking fuel from the left fuel or the left wing. Similarly, if we toggle to the right, then we'll be drawing fuel from the right wing, and both for both wings. Next, we're going to simulate an approach with and without flaps. So let's begin the approach right now from 3,000 feet to 2,000 feet. And we will just hand fly this approach at 600 feet a minute. So we can approach at slightly higher speed. Where we are out of the white arc, or we can have a much slower approach, and when our speed slows to the white arc, we can start to deploy the flaps. So we're now at the white arc, 85 knots. We can deploy the first flaps. Second stage of flaps. And third stage. And to keep the airspeed above 60, we'll have to apply some power. In fact, quite a bit of power, because the large stage of flap does induce a lot of drag. And now let's demonstrate best glide, no power. Let's clean up the aircraft. Then I'll turn to a heading 210. And further right turn, heading 250. And right now we are at 3,000 feet. We'll descend to 1,000 feet to demonstrate best glide, no power. Disconnect the autopilot and remove the flight director. And let's power down all the way. So best glide, we are looking at about 65 knots. It's determined by weight. So we can do a 60 to 65. And let's aim for 60 knots, best glide, since we are quite light. So 60 knots. Yeah, and idle. And there we go, 60 knots. Best glide, 60 knots, and we'll descend to 1,000 feet, and we'll come in for a landing. So we're going to take a path, which is going to be a left downwind for runway 03. Now we're going to approach left downwind. And I'm going to slow to the white arc speed. Fly heading 220. So right now we are mid-field downwind for runway 03. Drop our first flaps and start a gradual slow descent. Second stage of flaps. And final stage of flaps. Flaps down, landing clearance receive, runway in sight. And gently drop the nose. So exit Whiskey 3. Strobes off. Taxi lights on, landing lights off. And flaps up. and parking brakes. RPM to 1000. After landing checklist, flaps are up, strobes are off, landing lights are off, pitot heat is off, trim set for takeoff, transponder on the ground, securing aircraft, avionics off, mixture fully, master off, lights are off, beacon off, takt time will note, and max off. Securing checklist complete. So this is the end of the demo of the 172 SP G1000 takeoff, startup, takeoff, landing, shutdown demo.